you, Daniele, and nice to be here.
Great. Thanks for accepting my invite. You know,
My pleasure.
it's an important topic, and
Mhm.
I couldn't do that alone.
Better to team up, always.
Yes, exactly. I need someone, to help me fight the imposter.
Mhm.
Right. So, everybody, let us know if you can see us, and you should be able to write on the chat, and we should be able to see your messages. So
Mhm.
if you want to interact, ask questions, say hi, that would be nice. Yeah. And
Yes.
yeah, so I it seems to be working, and it
Okay.
seems to
Otherwise,
be
we can
okay.
have a chat together.
Yes, exactly. And then we record it, and
Yes.
and then we send it to people.
Wonderful.
Okay. And yeah, okay. So I guess we can get started.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
Let's
the
go.
topic is important.
Mhm.
And so we want to shed some light on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, the first thing, okay, the first thing is we're talking about imposter syndrome. What is it?
Uh-huh. That's a very good question, and I was wondering before we started about it, and I feel that I have somehow imposter syndrome as well. Everybody at some point of their lives have had like imposter syndrome. So I would say that it's like feeling that you are not good enough when even when you are. It's like you doubt about your skills, you fear making mistakes, or even you compare to others. So probably that
Oh.
is an imposter syndrome.
Right. So fear, comparing to others. Yeah. I think I agree with you. That is the essence of imposter syndrome. And why? Like, okay, I mean, this is the question. Yeah, like a lot of people, yeah, and especially a lot of people who want to speak English, come up with this thing about imposter syndrome. So it's not a special monster. It's not a special English monster. I guess this is common across different areas, different specifications, different jobs. I mean, in a way, I suppose every time we want to learn something new, there is a
Mhm.
chance we suffer from imposter syndrome, I guess. So I don't
Totally
know.
agree.
What's your opinion? Okay.
Well, I think that it may be somehow connected to perfection. It's
Hmm.
like everybody wants to do their best, and sometimes it backfires. And also, sometimes we have to explore the root of this fear because perhaps someone at the school told us that we didn't speak English very well, or someone made fun of our accent. So
Mm.
could be a combination between different factors, but probably, I mean, it's like a natural instinct of doing your best, what motivates this imposter syndrome, combined with this kind of trauma that you had when you were younger. I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think about it? What is your
Yeah. It's I mean, you are coming up with a lot of keywords and I love it. So perfection, yeah? Perfection. What is perfection?
Mhm.
Perfection gives birth to the inner critic.
Mhm.
And
Probably.
that is what makes us feel like, oh no, we're not up to standard. So it's a weird combination, I'd say, between perfectionism,
Mhm.
which leads to paralysis, and inner critic. So it's like, the more you want to be perfect, the more you feed your inner critic, and the more you get stuck in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So it's great because we are listing a lot of problems here.
Yeah.
But there must be solutions.
Mhm.
After all, we've called it overcoming imposter syndrome. So we touched the perfectionism, fear, inner critic, and that's something that I don't know about you, but I hear it all the time. Yeah. And people come and say, look, I can't speak. Yeah, but you've listened and you've studied English for what, 7 8 years? Yeah, yeah, but I can't speak. Okay, there is a bit of a disconnect there, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, as I said, I don't know about you, but this is something I hear all the time.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Most of my clients have this common problem that they say I have been speaking English for several years, like 10, 20 years, and then I show up to this meeting and I'm not able to speak up in the meeting. And for me it's really really important to validate them, to
Mm.
understand that the fear is a natural thing. Everybody feels fear. I felt fear before this meeting, before, even now. So it's something that we have to live with. And it's like a natural feeling, and it's telling us something important about ourselves. So I think that when we play down their feelings, like say, no, don't worry, it will be fine, well, we are not helping them. We need to understand why they feel like that and try to understand the root, as I said before, of this problem. And to be honest, most of these problems are related to childhood, the educational
Mm.
system that punish mistakes. So
Uh-huh.
no wonder why you are afraid of making mistakes, sorry. If you were a child and you made a mistake and society, parents, everyone like told you, well, it's not that way, you should do in a different way, then I mean, you are more likely to experience, as everybody, almost everybody experiences nowadays, this kind of imposter syndrome. So for me, the first step would be validating and trying not to play down their feelings, because
Yeah.
fear is something, it's a sign of something, it's an information, it's giving you information about something is going on.
Yeah.
And then you said that they have been studying for years English and they are not able to speak up when they need to do so. Well, I don't know in Italy, but here in Spain, it's also related to the educational system. They
Yeah.
have studied English, they have read English, they have written in English, but they haven't spoken in English. So then it's like, okay, I know this word, but then you have never articulated this word, you have never expressed this word, you have never spoken this word aloud. So
Yeah.
then when you attend to a meeting, it's really unlikely that you will be able uh, articulate, verbalize, and say this word because you don't feel confident about it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great point about this school system. And actually, when you talk about empathy and validating, it's very easy because this is exactly the way I felt, I feel, and somehow I will feel because every time you do something new, and like if you're used to reading, you're used to grammar, doing grammar exercises, but you never really have a chance to speak. That is when the problem uh,
Mhm.
arises. And that is yeah, what I see every time, every day. And yeah, invalidating, that is a strong one. So empathy and validation. I suppose one of our main roles as teachers and coaches is to provide a safe environment,
Mhm.
because if you're used to this finger pointing and you made a mistake, you're bad, whatever, and then you don't feel safe anymore, and that's when fear becomes an enemy. But when you feel safe, sure, there is still fear, but at the same time, I believe fear can become sort of friend.
Mhm.
Well, at least that's the way I see it. Like holding hand with fear. That could be something that could be done. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but you are right.
validating
Creating.
and overcoming this sort of mental block. Mistakes are bad. Can't make mistakes.
Mhm. I agree with you, and you are totally right. And I think that you nailed it when you said about creating a safe environment. I think that is key to create this safe environment. I usually create this kind of analogy with scuba diving. When they learn how to do it, they start in a swimming pool. They don't go directly to the sea. So it's the same. Our classroom should be a safe environment, their swimming pool, where they can test their English without fear of making mistakes. So I think
Yes.
that creating this environment is really, really important. I think that can help them. I think that it was Maria Montessori who said that the prepared environment was key for the learning process to happen. So I really like this idea of the prepared environment for
Yeah.
children, and it's something that I would like to reproduce and I want to reproduce in my sessions.
Yes, yes. So create that sort of safety and yeah, and the freedom, absolutely the freedom to make mistakes. That is fundamental, I believe. So that would be probably the first thing to do. To work towards overcoming this imposter syndrome. So we spoke about perfection, we spoke about mistakes, and how to find a safe way to practice. And it is something actually that is fascinating, because every time I speak to someone in my podcast, so like my podcast is only with people who are non-native speakers like me and you, okay, and that's the same thing they tell me, like I was blocked, I was afraid of making mistakes, and I was afraid of feedback. I was afraid of being ridiculous, but then, there is a turning point, there's something that clicks, and then you start being your true self in another language, which is which is the objective, I suppose, Okay, so fear and the fact, practicing a safe environment. I'd like to get back to the idea of perfectionism, like recently, okay, I posted something like last week about being against, let's say, perfectionism and against fear of making mistakes. And someone commented, yeah, but so what do you like? I don't get your point. So should we never correct people? Should we never tell them this is wrong? I mean, I thought it was a fair point, but at the same time, I kind of disagreed. No, when there's free conversation, we try and communicate. I don't know. What's your opinion on that, David?
Ooh, I love this topic. I think that we correcting people is really, really important part of the learning process.
Hmm.
I mean, giving feedback is really important. But my take on this would be that we should set priorities. I mean, like prioritize the learning process. So sometimes we put at the same level all kinds of mistakes. Um, Personally, my clients want to communicate in English. So for them, communicating their message is the most important skill that they need. So when we analyze their mistakes, we focus on the mistakes that stop them from being understood. So, and I think that sometimes it's like we are, correcting and correcting and correcting. But I mean, if people understand you, I mean, you have made a mistake. I make mistakes every day, speaking English as well, because I learned English when I was 33 years old. So just 2 years ago. No, kidding. But
Yeah, you
I
wish.
make, yeah. So, I mean, but the main thing is that for them is the priority. Then obviously everyone wants to improve. But when you set these priorities, okay, and the priorities become influent, and in the meeting, in the presentation, everybody can understand what you say, then try to get to this point, and after that, keep improving, keep improving. So the way that you improve is progressive, the way that you correct should be progressive. So it's not about not correcting them, it's correcting them at the right time.
Hmm.
And probably the right time is not the first time that they open their mouths. But it depends on the style.
Back to the school days, huh? Okay. I'd just like to pause for a minute. So, everybody, if you have questions, if you have comments, we've been talking about fear, perfectionism, mistakes. So, if you have comments, feel free, to write in the comments, in the chat. And
There is one question if we are on YouTube, and yes, we are on YouTube.
yes, we should be on YouTube as well, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah. You really never know with technology. But I do hope we are on YouTube. We should be there as well. If you have, so did you get the question from YouTube? That's the question. Because okay. Oh yeah, it should be on YouTube, but it's not playing somehow on that. Okay, I don't know why. Yeah, it's the problem with technology, I suppose. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It should be playing, but it's just not for some reasons. Okay, I don't even know how to fix it. Okay. Yep, is not playing. I don't know why. Okay. Right. Okay. Sorry. If
No
you if
worries.
you were waiting for the YouTube, I'm sorry. I don't know why this is not playing,
Hmm.
but I will try and get it started. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, right. So, David, sorry. Let's
Yeah.
get back to I'm feeling like an imposter now because I was trying to get this to work on YouTube too, and it's not working. So I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. So we were
Well,
talking about the
yes, being
making
perfect
mistakes
and
and being
mistakes.
perfect. Yeah, no, I'm not
So
perfect. Absolutely, I am far
me
from
neither.
perfect. I'm far from perfect. Yeah, I don't know why, but I am far from perfect. Okay. So getting back to the things that people say, okay, and whatever like real problems, yeah, real problems for people. So for example, I've heard it a lot. I can't speak because I can't find the words.
Hmm.
And I don't know, again, like a lot of people are there, they want to talk, but then they somehow get lost because they can't find the words, and then they say, okay, stop. They get a total void, total blank, and they go silent. And my idea there, what I always tell people is to try and simplify. Like, um, if you want to say something and you try to translate in your head, in your mind, that doesn't work. Because the two languages. So if you think in Italian, in Spanish, in French, in German, then you can't really translate that into English.
Hmm.
So one of the things I always tell people is to try and simplify. So
Hmm.
get to the basic, like simple sentences, and then learn how to connect the simple sentences. And so again, providing safe environment, provide something which is safe to practice in. Then that's one strategy that I love, that people find useful. And again, I would like your opinion on that, David. So,
Yeah.
have people ever told you, like, "Oh, no, 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 I can't find the words," or "I want to say something, but I can't say that"?
Yeah.
And
Very
yeah,
often, as you said.
yeah,
And simplifying is one of the main tips that I share with them. I think that looking for alternatives is a really great skill when it comes to speaking a second language. Because sometimes we want to say something, but we cannot say exactly what we are thinking. So trying to look for alternatives is pretty important. And it's this kind of mentality of all or nothing doesn't help here. It's about perfection again. So I think that trying to look for an alternative perhaps is not the same that you wanted to say. It's not exactly the same, but could work in the environment that you are doing your task. You can convey your message in an effective way. So I think that this idea of simplifying and trying to get your message across is really really effective too.
yeah, absolutely. And it's what I sell is the kiss. Keep
Mhm.
it simple, stupid. This is what I always remind myself. When I
Nice.
try to overcomplicate things. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, stop, breathe in, breathe out, keep it simple. And then, stupid. I tell it to myself sometimes, but that's a different story. Okay, I mean another thing that I found that many people again have told me is they feel like imposters because they feel they are somehow too old, yeah, to learn a language. I don't know, you and me, we are the living proof that it is not the truth because we weren't born there, so we had to learn it, you know. But you
Well,
know, it's something serious, right? Because some people tell me, okay, yes, I love English, and I think it'd be useful to learn English, but it's too late, you know. I've missed my train, you know, and I don't believe this is the case, you know. Again, it might be harder, and again, it's questionable, but communicating and getting your message across is doesn't really depends on age, you know. It depends on method, I believe. And so some of the things we have already said, like fear, safe environment, practice, and communication. But you know, that's one thing. But also, you know, adjust your method for someone who's not a child anymore. Find interesting topics, or maybe focus more on the structure of the language. I don't know. These are some of the ideas, yeah. But I don't think there is such a thing as a too late to learn a language. Again, this is my opinion. You know? Maybe because I love learning, I
mhm.
love learning languages. But you know, I don't think there is such a thing as too late. I don't know. Again, what's your opinion of it? You know?
As you said, I'm a living proof of that because I learned English, as I said before, when I was 33 years old.
Wow.
So when I went to UK, I used to work as a manager before moving to UK, and I thought, okay, let's apply for this kind of jobs. And then I didn't understand anything. So, well, for me, it was like a turning point in my life because I realized that all the English that I had studied at the school was useless. Also, I felt that I was too old to learn English too. So it was my feeling. So I understand them. I think that if you have this kind of goal that you want, you really need a motivation. You need a clear goal for learning English because this kind of motivation for learning is going to give you, the commitment and the willing to keep learning and keep practicing. Once you have this goal and this motivation, it's really good to break it down. Create like a roadmap, a strategy that can help you to reach your goal. And for me, priorities is key. Setting priorities is key because, as you said, could be something like overwhelming, like an impossible endeavor. But if you just prioritize, then you are, achieving milestones, and you celebrate the milestones, and little by little, you are getting there. And it's really, really fulfilling when you are able to communicate in a second language, especially when you weren't born with this kind of talent. I didn't like English, to be honest. When I was a child, I didn't study English, so I'm not gifted for languages. That's why I really, really understand and relate to my students because I was like them just 5, 10 years before, 20 years.
Absolutely. Shh, don't say,
No,
don't
no,
talk
no.
about age here, you know? Yeah, but again, it's a great point. So I have this feeling we are slowly but surely defeating the imposter here. Yeah,
Mhm.
because you know, perfectionism, inner critic, fear, and yeah, age, words, vocabulary. So all these things that are somehow holding people back when they want to speak language, English in this case, because that's what we're talking about. You know, maybe we do another one on Spanish or on Italian another day.
Wonderful.
But
Mhm.
right. I mean, so these are some of the common struggles. Yeah. I would like to get back to one point that we mentioned earlier. So speaking up in a meeting, okay, or
Mhm.
presentation or something, because you know, some people, like I've met very talented people who have a good level of English, but then you know they say, okay, no, 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 in my meeting I am hiding somehow, or they switch off their camera, or they try and dodge these international calls, and so sometimes it's just a way to find to find, like, again, a method and a way for them to blossom, really. Okay. I like this, I love I love nature and plants, so I like this idea of the flower blossoming, right? So again, I'd like to pick your brain on this, right? So when you have people who have a good level but they're afraid of speaking up, so what is your approach? What do you usually do, David, to help
Well,
them?
I like to ask them questions to find out what is the root of the problem, try to understand why these have this fear. As I said before, um, playing down their feelings is not a good thing to do. So understanding that their feelings have a reason help them to be more compassionate about their feelings. So once you realize, okay, I'm scared, but this is because that and that and that, you are more likely to overcome this fear. And then, well, as we were talking about the safe environment, sometimes we have like really generalistic classes. And if they are going to speak up in a meeting, then they know what they want to say in the meeting. So let's rehearse it in a safe environment. And I will give you real feedback. You have to be honest with them and tell them, perhaps it's not perfect, but everyone will understand you. And if they trust you, then you don't need to say anything else because you are honest, they trust you. There is this kind of connection that for me is key. Then the day after, they go to the meeting, they try, they test, and they come back and they say, you know what, David, you were right. They understood me. As simple as that and as complex as that. But practicing everything, I mean, it's like I think that is stoicism. When they have like a problem, they divide in two columns: what you can control and what you can't control. So you can control what you are going to say. Perhaps you cannot control the questions that they may ask you, but you can foresee them. So what we do is like rehearse and prepare carefully what you are going to see, and then try to foresee the questions that you may receive from the audience in your meeting,
Yeah.
presentation, or whatsoever. It helps them a lot. And sometimes they tell me, you know what, David, I didn't use exactly what I planned. Okay. But it's when, for example, when I prepare my classes, and then sometimes I don't use what I have prepared for my classes. But it's the plan B which gives you the confidence. These kind of notes are key. And some people can tell me, why do you prepare the classes if sometimes you don't use your preparation? Well, this preparation gives me the opportunity to improvise, because improvisation without preparation is not improvisation.
Yep. So you need to prepare in order to be able to improvise. Exactly. That's spot on.
Thank you.
And, and one thing I'd love to add is, we always we always think about objectives,
Mhm.
and that's what I always want to clarify with people I work with. So I can't speak English. Okay, let's stop for a minute. What is your objective? If
Mhm.
you have a clear objective, I want to speak in a meeting, I want to be able to present. Some people even tell me, yeah, I want to present, but also when I travel, I want to be able to have an informal conversation. So these are all clear objectives. And then, if you have an objective, you can build your message around those objectives, in my opinion, and that is something that is really valuable. Yeah. So adults normally have a clear idea of their objectives, and then you can work around that. Again, that is really, really helpful, in my opinion. So first thing is clarify your objective, and then,
Mhm.
once you have that clear, then you can start, practicing in a safe environment, having an open dialogue with your fear, uh, petting your inner critic. These are all the things that that I think, are useful to, yeah, somehow defeat the monster, the imposter. And so, yeah, that's what I feel, and that's how I love when I
Mhm.
doing what I love doing when I work with people, right? And I don't know, we're towards the end. So what's your feelings of it? Have we defeated the monster, the imposter?
Well, I think that at least we have given some ideas of how to do it. Could be useful for teachers and for learners, because the idea of understanding the root of the problem, in my opinion, is very useful. um, Prioritizing your learning process is really effective. And as you said, simplifying and practice in a safe environment is also really, really helpful. So at least we have dealt with some of the most important tips in order to overcome this monster, as you said.
Yeah, the English monster.
Yes.
Yes, I agree, David. And and one thing I want to be clear on is that fear will never disappear. Fear
Mhm.
is going to be there. It's
That's
going
a
to
really good
stay
point.
there.
Yes.
There is an incredible book called "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway." That
Okay,
is
that's
that
nice.
is that is my mantra, because yeah, fear is there, but we will never get rid of it,
Yeah. I
unless
mean,
we stop doing things. One day we
mhm,
stop doing things and we are not afraid anymore. But it is not how we live, I suppose.
totally. In order to speak without fear, they need to start speaking with fear. So
Hmm.
there is no shortcut there.
Yes, exactly. Face your own fear in order to
Yeah.
be fearless. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. A
We're,
slogan there.
we're going to write a book on slogans and new mantras. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I think we're getting closer anyway to the maybe not defeating the
Mhm.
imposter, but at least
Mhm.
becoming friend with
Yeah.
the imposter.
But as Anna says in the chat, I mean, students and learners need encouragement. And I totally agree with
Yes.
her. That
Yes.
is really, really important to validate them and also to celebrate. We haven't mentioned that the achievements that they have done.
Yeah. That is celebrating is a really, really great part. I put together this framework which is called hack.
Hmm.
Uh, HACK. The last part is like hack your English. The last part
Okay.
is case kudos, celebration. So
Okay. Okay.
whenever
Nice.
there is a win, whenever you see improvement, you have to celebrate. That is
Hmm.
how you boost your motivation, and it creates a virtuous circle, I believe.
Hmm.
So I don't think there should be any strategies without the celebrating part, because that is not effective, I believe.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
And your mind focuses on the things that you are paying attention to.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to keep a journal, and every day I write down three things that I have enjoyed during
Oh
my
yeah.
day. I have been doing that for years, and now I, can look at life in a more positive way. So otherwise, you are always paying attention to the things that you are lacking of. So I think that is very effective. With learning a language is the same. Things that you need to improve, but also things that you should celebrate.
Yes. Yes. That's it. So celebrate against the imposter. Yes, that's
Hmm.
probably one key takeaway from this chat. David, I think we are, yeah, we'll close down because we said half an hour, 34
Hmm.
minutes. Not too bad for a Spanish and an Italian, I'd say. So,
And we were on time. Amazing.
yeah, but yeah, we couldn't get the YouTube to work, but yes, we were on time, which is,
Okay.
which was brilliant. David, I really thank you for being here with me, for helping me to
Hmm.
face the imposter, the monster. And I thank everybody for
Yeah.
sticking around, and for your patience for the technical issues. I'm sorry. And yeah, I will see you again on another event. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniele, and thank you to everybody.
Okay. Take care. Bye now.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.